There was a man called Ivan and a woman living in a village, and work became hard to find. So the man said to his wife, "I will go search for work, and you may live here." So he left and traveled east, and at last came to the house of a farmer.
"What work can you do?" said the farmer. "I can do all kinds of work," said Ivan. Then they agreed upon $3 for the year's wages.
When the end of the year came, his master showed him the $3. "See, Ivan," said he, "here's your wage, but if you will give it back, I'll give you some advice."
"Give me my wage," said Ivan.
"No," said the master. "I will explain my advice."
"Tell me then," said Ivan. Then said the master, "Never leave the old road for the sake of a new one."
After that, they agreed for another year at the old wages, and at the end of it, Ivan took instead a piece of advice, and this was it: never stay where an old man is married to a young woman.
When the end of the year came, his master showed him the $3. "See, Ivan," said he, "here's your wage, but if you will give it back, I'll give you some advice."
"Give me my wage," said Ivan.
"No," said the master. "I will explain my advice."
"Tell me then," said Ivan. Then said the master, "Never leave the old road for the sake of a new one."
After that, they agreed for another year at the old wages, and at the end of it, Ivan took instead a piece of advice, and this was it: never stay.
The same thing happened at the end of the third year, when the piece of advice was, "Honesty is the best policy."
Ivan would not stay longer. He wanted to go back to his wife.
"Don't go today," said his master. "My wife bakes tomorrow, and she shall make you a cake to take home to your good wife."
And when Ivan was going to leave, "Here," said his master, "here is a cake for you to take home to your wife. When you're most joyous together, then break the cake, and not sooner," said his master.
So he traveled towards home, and at last he came to a road, and there he met 3 merchants. "Oho, Ivan," said they, "come with us. Glad we are to see you. Where have you been so long?"
"I have been working," said Ivan, "and now I am going home."
"Oh, come with us, you'll be welcome." But when they took the new road, Ivan kept to the old one, and robbers fell upon them.
They began to cry out, "Thieves!" and Ivan shouted out, "Thieves!" too. And when the robbers heard Ivan's shout, they ran away. And the merchants went by the new road, and Ivan by the old one, till they met again in the next city.
"Oh, Ivan," said the merchants, "we owe you. Without you, we would have been robbed. Come stay with us at our cost."
When they came to the lodge, Ivan said, "I must see the host."
"The host?" they cried. "You want to see the host? Here's the hostess. She's young and pretty. If you want to see the host, you'll find him in the kitchen."
So he went into the kitchen to see the host, and he found a weak old man.
"Oh, I won't stay here, but we'll go next door."
"Not yet," said the merchants. "First, eat with us."
Now it happened that the hostess had plotted to murder the old man that night, and they had agreed to blame it on the lodgers.
So while Ivan was in bed next door, there was a hole in the wall of the house, and he saw a light through it. So he got up and heard the monk speaking.
"I had better cover this hole," said he, "or people in the next house may see the crime." So he stood with his back against the hole, while the hostess killed the old man.
But meanwhile, Ivan took out his knife and put it through the hole, cut a piece of off the monk's robe. The very next morning, the hostess raised the cry that her husband was murdered. And as there was the merchants, she said they ought to be hanged for it.
So they were taken to prison till at last Ivan came to them. Alas, alas, Ivan, they cried. Bad luck sticks to us. Our host was killed last night, and we shall be hanged for it.
Ah, tell the justice, said Ivan, to summon the real murderers.
Who knows? They replied. Who committed the crime? Who committed the crime? Said Ivan. If I cannot prove who committed the crime, hang me instead.
So he told all he knew, and brought out the piece of cloth from the monk's robe. And with that the merchants were set free, and the hostess and the monk were seized and hanged.
Then they came all together out of the city, and they said to him, Come as far as the sea. Then their two roads separated, and though the merchants wished Ivan to go with them, he would not go with them, but went straight home to his wife.
And when his wife saw him, she said, Home in the nick of time. Here is a purse of gold that I found it. Has no name, but sure it belongs to the great Lord. I was just thinking what to do when you came.
That's wrong. Then Ivan thought of the third piece of advice, and he said, Let us go and give it to the king.
So they went up to the castle, and they left the purse with the servant beside the gate. And then they went home.
But one day the king stopped at their house for a drink of water, and Ivan's wife said to him, I hope you found your purse safely.
What purse are you talking about? Said the king.
Your purse that I left at the castle, said Ivan.
Come with me, and we will see what happened, said the king.
So they went up to the castle, and there they pointed out to the man to whom they had given the purse. And he had to give it back, and was sent away from the castle. And the king was so pleased with Ivan that he made him his servant.
Honesty's the best policy, said Ivan, as he skipped about in his new quarters. How joyful I am!
Then he thought of his old master's cake that he was to eat when he was most joyful, and when he broke it inside, it was his wages for the 3 years he had worked for him.